I didn't mean to do it. I actually need to kind of get that section good because I was struggling in that section.
Yeah.
So I went up, pushed up, and tried doing what I'd done the time before, and went horribly wrong.
And then 2022, move up to elite.
Yeah.
How did you find that move? It's a big jump for riders.
Yeah, it's definitely a big jump. I remember Lourdes was my first elite race, actually. Pretty tricky track. I remember it being quite techie and awkward, and with it being my first elite race, it's not completely different, but you're kind of on a different time schedule from what I was used to. Slightly different setup with kind of a transition year, you could say, in the team, when it was going from the old YT mob to now, like, you could say, the factory kind of YT mob when it's in-house now.
It was quite a small setup, wasn't it? Really, like
quite a small setup that year compared to what it is now and what's planned. We're going big.
Yeah.
But
did that make a difference to you? Are you the sort of rider that, like, the setup around you is important and beneficial, or are you the sort of person that could chip up in a battered van and a tiny easy up and still perform?
I think I can perform no matter what it is, but it is nice to have the setup to come back to. It's just like an extra bonus, you could say. Having a nice pits, everything, it's just more comfortable.
Yeah. So elite first year, like, I think you had a wrist injury. Was it that year that did you break your wrist?
Later in the year, yeah.
Yeah,
halfway through.
So how was it going up to that point? Like, how did you feel about how you were getting on, finding your feet in the elite ranks?
It was slowly starting to progress that year. I remember starting around 50th, mid 40s, worked my way up, and I remember Lenzerheide, I was like low 30s, so every race I was slowly climbing positions. And going into Andorra, I was feeling pretty good. Like, I was starting to build confidence. I was just taking my time. I qualified for all I think was the first 3 or 4 World Cups that year. So it wasn't really a case of I was on the borderline. I was like mid-pack, and just made a small mistake in practice in Andorra. A lot of photographers know what that mistake was, because they asked me to push back up.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, but it wasn't completely their fault. I'll admit I actually messed up the section and like slid out and blew loads of dust up and rode it on. And I was like, oh, I didn't do that great. And they were all roaring, could I go up and do the same thing again? And I was thinking, I didn't mean to do it. I actually need to kind of get that section good because I was struggling in that section. So I went up, pushed up, and tried doing what I'd done the time before, and went horribly wrong. Big OTB into some rocks, and broken collarbone, done my AC joint, broke the wrist in 3 places, dislocated it.
Whoa, I didn't realise it was that bad.
Yeah, the wrist was like completely mashed up.
Yeah.
It was just smashed to bits.
Jeez. So was that surgery then, or?
No, I actually let it heal.
Really?
They must have been used to ski accidents and stuff in Andorra, because they put it back into place like so well.
Yeah.
I went to a couple of specialists back at home once I got home, and they were like, they couldn't believe how well that was put in.
That's amazing.
Like, there's no need for surgery.
Yeah.
At all.
That's great, because a lot of people struggle with like metal work in their wrists and stuff. There's not a lot of space, and it tends to impact your movement. So no lasting effects of that then?
I didn't have anything last year until this off season again.
Okay.
Slightly like redone my wrist.
Yeah.
But it's been good the last few weeks again.
Okay. That's good to
hear.
It
took a while to get it back up and running again though.
Yeah.
Wrist, it was playing up for a while.
Definitely. Tricky one. And that sort of wrote off the rest of the season, did it, at that point? Like,
yeah, I remember my goal was to come back for Leger and Val d'Isle, but I remember the week of Leger World Champs, it was 5 weeks since, or 6 weeks from when I broke my wrist was the start of that race week.
Yeah.
And you're meant to have the cast on for 6 weeks. So it was going to be super tight. But I did try and ride. I had the wrist brace, everything, done like 2 runs. But just the World Cup tracks were getting so like beat up and rough and Leger there was some big enough jumps.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have the wrist strength to hold on for those big jumps. But every day at that point, it was getting like better and better. I remember in between Leger and Val d'Isle, that few days in the middle, I remember it actually progressing so fast that I done a photo shoot on kind of a new colorway of the Chewas up in Super Morzine when it was a bit smoother on the bike park. So it was getting really good. I've done DNA tests and they've said my bone healing and like repairing muscles and everything is like really fast.
Oh, that's cool.
Almost kind of abnormal.
Yeah.
So
pretty handy given your job.
Yeah, that's pretty good, and especially with my dad being a physio, that helps as well.
True.
So I was riding like enduro e-bikes, kind of the odd day of a few runs and downhill, not trying to over fatigue the wrist. But with there only being Valdesol left, I decided, and with that being kind of the roughest track of the year, there's no point in coming back for just one race for what I'm going to get out of it. There's no point. I just hang around, have a good time, and go into the off season fresh.